Good morning, everybody. Um, so I'm here to talk about workforce opportunities as it relates to becoming a HERS reader or HERS inspector. My name is David Choo. I'm the compliance director at Cheers and the HERS provider. And with me, shortly after I speak, is going to be Panuly Vangay, utility program manager at ConSol, who is going to go into more detail on how to attain these workforce opportunities. Next slide, please. So Title 24, Part 6, right? So Title 24 is the state of California's building standards. And within it is Part 6, which specifies the energy efficiency standards. Now, the Energy Code establishes these mandatory energy efficiency levels for buildings and specific types of installations. So the code applies to new construction, additions to homes, alterations. So for alterations, what we mean by that is a mechanical change out, right? So when folks change out the air conditioners in both residential and non-residential buildings. So this code is updated every 3 years. It's been in place since the 90s. And somewhere in the early 2000s, they introduced the idea of the HERS reader or HERS inspector going out to homes to conduct some inspections, so field diagnostic inspections to assist local building departments. Next slide, please. So the way enforcement works, right? It's spelled out in the code, right? So the local building department, or what they call the AHJ, they're responsible for enforcing the entire breadth of the energy code. But a large portion of the energy code requires someone to either field verify or diagnostically test, FBDT, field verify or diagnostic test, the air conditioner or different aspects of the home. And the folks that do this, that's who we refer to as HERS raters, right? So HERS raters are essentially these third-party inspectors that assist the local building department in enforcing the energy code. So let's put this in simple language. So imagine a homeowner pulls a permit, they find an installer, and they get a new air conditioner installed, right? The local building inspector will come out and they'll inspect for building safety and a portion of the energy code. Then the homeowner will hire a HERS rater, maybe you, that independently conducts the HERS testing to verify that the new installation meets the energy code, right? And the results of that testing are submitted to us at Cheers, and then certificates are provided to the local building department. Next slide, please. So what does it entail? These are some examples, some things that the HERS rater will enforce. So they'll do duct testing on the HVAC system, airflow testing, fan efficacy testing, refrigerant charge testing. They'll test the home to see how leaky it is by doing a blower door test, or what they call building infiltration testing. They can inspect insulation to make sure it's installed correctly. They can do mechanical ventilation testing. Next slide, please. So here's I love pictures, so this probably makes more sense for a lot of us, at least for me it does. So here's some picture examples. So on the left, you have somebody setting up to conduct a duct test, right? It's basically a diagnostic test where the HERS rater uses the specialized equipment, as you can see in that slide, to figure out how much leakage there is in the home's AC ducts, right? And then the next one you have there is a refrigerant charge verification. It's a test where the HERS rater figures out if the air conditioner is charged correctly, has enough refrigerant in it. The third test, if you look on the right there, infiltration testing. It's you cover up a door, put that big old fan on there. It pressurizes or depressurizes the house, and we figure out how leaky the house is. Next slide, please. So some more examples. On the left here, the rater is holding what's called a flow hood bolometer. It's measuring how much air is moving through the air conditioning system. And so there's some more tests here, as you can see. It's pretty simple, right? Once you get trained to do it. And there's a bunch of other inspections that raters conduct. Next slide, please. So what is my part, or really our part in it as Cheers? Cheers is California's HERS provider. So the California Energy Commission approved us as the HERS provider in California. Now, our primary responsibility is to train HERS raters. So if you're looking for that, that's what we do. So if any of you are interested in becoming one, just contact us or ConSol to get your training. We're also responsible to keep you up to date on your training and to oversee that you're doing your inspections correctly. So you always have that support. And very important, we also maintain this online registry where all this testing, all your or your results are recorded so that these certificates can be produced. Next slide, please. Okay, so energy code has expansion. So the energy code is expanding a lot. Bottom line, there needs to be more HERS raters. Okay, originally HERS raters just tested the air conditioning system. So they did a duct test or something like that, and then it expanded. The code expanded, and the scope of work expanded to how leaky buildings are, or how insulation is installed. So HERS raters came in and started looking at how that works, and then HERS raters it expanded again to the energy efficiency as it relates to water usage in the house. And then most recently, source energy was added to the HERS rater scope. In other words, like where is the energy coming from, right? I mean, the goal of California is decarbonization. So that became part of the rater's scope of work. Next slide, please. So I know I'm repeating myself, but we need more HERS raters. Energy code enforcement is it's an underserved market. I don't know if people realize that we need so many more HERS raters in the industry. So there's this huge potential for the future of the energy code. And the issue right now is that as the code gets more complex and the scope increases, veteran HERS raters or those more technically inclined, they need to sort of progress toward more complex inspections, right? Which produces a gap in servicing simpler projects. So to put it simply, a simple project is let's say a homeowner changes out their air conditioner, right? That inspection is relatively straightforward. It's a very simple thing for most HERS raters to do if you knew it. And there's a lot of that available. And there's going to be a lot more of it in the future. Now, some HERS raters just make that their bread and butter for the rest of their lives. But if let's say you get more complex and you start to get into production housing, right, where they build hundreds of homes at a time, there's a lot more complexity in how they're inspected. And with that, there's more money, right? But it takes more expertise. The great thing is that the code is structured in tiers. So as a rater, you can sort of choose the type of projects that match your expertise, and you don't ever really have to develop further. But if you want to, there's sky's the limit. So again, I'm repeating myself, but there's this huge need for more raters. And if you like to be out and about, or somebody who wants to be out and about and doesn't want to sit at their desk all day, this might be a great opportunity for you. And so with that, I'm going to turn this over to Panuly at ConSol to explain how you can become a HERS rater.
Great. Thank you, everyone. My name is Panuly Vangay. I am the Utility Program Manager for ConSol. ConSol has been around for a little bit over 40 years, and we're an advisory group that specializes in energy policy, energy modeling, program management, and also training and development. And we are Cheer's exclusive training partner or training provider for all of their training. Next slide, please. All right. So one of the things that Cheers provide, like David mentioned, is the HERS rater certification training. That training consists, it typically runs about $2,000. It's $1,950 to be exact. We have partnered with different organizations such as SoCalGas. We're working with currently in talks with like BayREN, a few different organizations with SDG&E and RHA, currently to bring so we have different programs currently that we're in partnership with that will supplement the cost of the course completely or a fraction of that course. So for instance, in our SoCalGas area, which starts anywhere from, let's see, Fresno County all the way down to Imperial County, is with SoCalGas. And if you reside, work, or attend school in that area, they will cover the full cost of the course. So that's a great deal that we're really trying to promote. A lot of if you live outside that area, we have different programs that will give you a discount up to $250 off of the full rate. Next slide, please. All right. And then once you become a certified HERS raters, there's different opportunities. There's above code programs that you can get certified through with the EPA Energy Star, the Water Sense, and then we also different training. This is, you don't have to become a HERS rater, but this is part of the prerequisite that I'll speak about in a little bit of the EPA 608 that Cheers is going to start providing in 2025. Next, please. All right, so currently our trainings are mostly on demand. With the HERS certification training, that's a pretty large course, and that's all on demand. And then we offer a few some of the smaller electives, we call them, as a live webinar. And then part of the certification training, learners do go out in the field and get hands-on training with equipment and how to do the actual test. Some organizations that we do work with have facilities that we can host training in, so that can be done in a classroom setting as well. Next slide, please. And why would you want to become a HERS rater? Like David mentioned, there's a huge demand for HERS raters. You know, for a course that you can get certified, I mean, realistically, the course will take anywhere from a week to 2 weeks at your own pace. So once you get certified, you could probably do it within 2 weeks' time if and starting range is anywhere from $50,000 to $75,000 per year. Depends, definitely going to depend by experience, also by location. If you're in the SoCal area, Central Valley or whatnot, it's going to vary also. And then you can go on to, like I mentioned, different career paths. Some working at the building departments or even like energy consultants also. Next slide, please. Okay. The great part about being a HERS rater is that there's really no experience necessary. Like I mentioned earlier, all the courses done online first, and then once you complete that, then you can move on to the field training. You only have to have a computer and internet access. You can do the training by your phone or by tablet or on your laptop. Next slide, please. Okay. So for those that do want to get certified, there is the online training course for the HERS certification. That's anywhere from 20 to 30 hours. You do have to pass a knowledge exam with an 80% score or higher. It is an open book exam. We want to make sure that you understand where to find the information instead of really trying to memorize everything. Once you do pass that, then you can schedule your field training with our HERS rater to do the hands-on training. I did mention with the EPA, before you go on to the field training, you do have to obtain your EPA 608, and this is just the type 2. Go ahead, please. Next. And these are some of the elective courses that we offer. So these are bite-sized courses that we have that are specified towards like homeowners, for instance. This one covers as a homeowner, what do you need to do? When do you need to pull a permit? What your role is or what the HERS rater role is as far as there's some for the building department. And then as a contractor, how to navigate our Cheers registry system. These are all online. We do offer these as the smaller webinar courses, but we don't go for the webinar courses, we don't go into the Cheers registry. That's only on the on-demand one. So next slide, please. So if you're interested, I do recommend taking the introduction course. You can log in and take any course that you're interested in. But the introduction course actually gives a really high level profile of like what the HERS rater does, what the HERS provider does, and the HERS industry as a whole. If you have any additional questions, feel free to email us at training@consol.org, or you can email me directly. Next slide. You can, there's my email there. You can email me if you're interested in finding out what programs we have available and what type of discounts or subsidy we have in your area. That's it. Thank you very much.